hope I didn't lose everything. I just, oh my goodness. I think I may have lost my internet connection. We're going to find out. We're going to see if it punted. Oh boy. Embarrassing. I may just have to start over. I don't know. If you can see me, please say hello on Periscope and on YouTube. How's everybody doing? All right, MJ here, and we're at the Phoenix Media Forward Studios here in beautiful, lovely downtown Huco. And it looks as if, let me just see something. I don't know, man. I'm going to go back here to the YouTube studio, and I'm going to see if we're still on, because it should only take a second. If I go here to the live, it should tell me. This is how you find out. Nope, error. Uh-oh. Yep, okay. Well, we're here, and it says, okay, I don't want to end the stream, so. Oh, this is how it is. This is how it is sometimes. I'm just glad that I'm able to, sorry I'm showing you guys my back. Ooh, yeah. Mike, how you doing? Fist bump to you. Yeah, sorry I just showed you my back. Well, I lost, right at the beginning, during the introduction, I lost my internet connection for a second. I'm like, oh no, which probably means that good old Periscope probably quit, but that's okay. How's everybody doing? And as usual, it shows that I don't have anybody on YouTube in the Prism app, but obviously, according to the comments, I do. And I got a couple of viewers on Periscope. How's everybody doing? All right, I'm back. We were, wow, I've been doing a lot of stuff. We, let's see. That's me on the screen back there, so. Well, thanks. It's not exactly stellar. It's really, really dirty. I mean, you should see around here, because I have been moving things around. I've been doing some sound, some treatment, and I've been doing, I reoriented the main listening environment, I'm breaking a lot of rules, but I know the rules very well, so I know which ones I can break and get away with, But these are cool. These guys over here. These are my vintage, like from 1973. Hey, Bernardo, how you doing? Fist bump to you. Those are acoustic research monitors, and they're really incredible. Now I have a power amp. It's on the floor here. I need to feed it some power transistors because it's acting up. But this is the Behringer X32, which is a digital console, and it's kind of a medium range console. The United States price in this console is right around $2,000 US. And the funny thing is nowadays most people just have a notebook and like a 2x2 USB interface, and that's a studio, and that's not my idea of a studio. And I have a console, and you may or may not laugh at the X32, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Over here, I'm going to show you a little bit of it. It's kind of covered up, but this is, everybody knows I've got an analog console too. I've got a 32-channel Soundcraft Ghost over here too. And I'm going to tell you right now, just within the environment of the X32, with all the effects, every channel is 32 channels. It's got compression, 4-band EQ, gate. There's 8 effects racks. I mean, I'm doing stuff on this desk that I couldn't do 30 years ago in a $10 million studio with an API console, because I didn't have all that. I didn't have like a tremendous amount. I got 60 different effects in this thing that I didn't have. I mean, I had real LA2As, I had real, 1176 compressors and things like that. But no, I didn't have 8 of them. Anyway, so Bernardo, how you doing? It's been a while. Always a pleasure to see you, sir. And I want to say good afternoon to you from Germany. And Mike, how you been? Listen, it's really great because usually, Mike, I get comments from you later. Oh, I missed it. I wasn't, wasn't around, and I understand that. Yeah, it's not always convenient, but that's why we have replays. And also with Periscope, replays were never important, but they always were to me. Now, this is an AIO over here. This computer is on its own separate mount, and it can spin this way and back and forth and up and down and everything. But this actually is the PC that's running this display over here. And the funny thing is, this is a touch screen, so even with the computer off, if I touch something over here, I could do some bad things without even meaning to. So, what's going on with me? For recreation, I have been working on some stuff. And, okay, you guys know this. Okay, and I don't like to talk about this. It's my birthday in a couple days, and I don't celebrate birthdays. I hate birthdays. Don't wish me happy birthday. I won't celebrate mine. I won't celebrate yours. And in 2 days, March 9th is when, that's when it is, and that's the day that Brad Delp from Boston committed suicide, and that's somebody that I hadn't met when I was young, and he influenced me a great deal, and I always admired him and thought he was great. And so, as part of my therapy, I've been doing a mix of a famous Boston song. And if you know where to look on the internet, you can find multi-tracks for almost anything. So I searched around and found the multi-tracks to my favorite Boston song, and I've been playing with it, and I've got a mix going. I'm going to make a couple. Hey, Rob, how you doing? Fist bump to you. I've got a couple more little tweaks that I'm going to do to it, and it is sounding really, really good. I'm doing my own mastering, too, on it, and yeah, so I did a preliminary mix and shared it with a couple people with whom I trust, their ears, and so yeah. Anyway, oh yeah, definitely. Well, it shows in his music and the sound, and I've got a ghost built Rickenbacker copy, and right here in the corner, kind of out of range, this is a vintage. DR880. This is a Roland Dr. Rhythm drum machine, and it's got like a guitar amp simulator in it that's just so awesome. And I use it with the 12 string, and it just sounds incredible. And I run all those all the drum sounds and guitar sounds that I have, in my studio. I bring them into the Soundcraft Ghost console, really hot, get that analog flavor, and it is connected into the X32, so it goes digitally into Reaper, which is my DAW. So we went camping, and you guys saw that. I showed you a couple of days ago. I showed you the place where we went, where we had this little trailer, right? And that was cool. And then anyway, then we got some bad news. My wife's uncle, he was the favorite uncle in my family. He passed away at 92. Excuse me. He was a great man. I would like to tell you a little bit about him because, this is Taiwan. And there's such a history here that people don't know. There's a book in the public domain. It's about 500 pages, but it's absolutely compelling. It's written by a man named George Kerr, K-E-R-R. It's called Formosa Betrayed. Now, if you can't find the book, contact me and I will send you a PDF of it. It's an incredible book. George Kerr was a diplomat who was in Taiwan during the transfer of power, okay, because it used to belong to Japan. From 1895 until 1945, for 50 years, Taiwan was Japan. The CCP's narrative about Taiwan as a part of China and has always been a part of China it's not true. It's a lie, because there's the Treaty of Shimonoseki. Now, without getting political, I'm just telling you. So what had happened was when the nationalists in China lost the Civil War with the communists, they ran and they fled to Taiwan. And my wife's uncle and her parents, they're all from that generation. They were all born in China. My wife's family is from Anhui, and they came here when they were young. And it's amazing. If you listen to some of these older people talk about their, about their experiences, it's really phenomenal what happened. In the case, for example, of my wife's father, his older brother carried him. See, there are many stories, and there are many movies even about this whole this situation. And I remember one movie in particular, a mother, she just had to give up. She couldn't carry her children anymore, and she tied them to a tree with a note. Please take care of my children if you find them. Hey, Jan, how you doing? Fist bump to you. Nice to have you with us. Always a pleasure. And so these things really happen. Anyway, my wife's uncle came to Taiwan, and he got married, and he was, of course, all these men were part of the nationalists, Chinese and military and everything. He didn't have much formal education, but he raised 3 sons and a daughter, and all 3 sons have PhDs. They're all very well off. One of them is a dentist, owns several dental clinics, and they're just upstanding, they're outstanding citizens. And this uncle just worked so hard and dedicated his life to his family to such a degree that young men today could really learn from his example of what it takes, the humility that it takes sometimes to take a job that maybe is beneath your dignity or whatever, but it pays money and it takes care of the family. That's what he did. Now let me tell you, I've known some tough guys in my life. I know some guys that were in kung fu movies and stuff, and for real, and Uncle Chang was a tough guy. When he was about 85, I think it was, anyway, he's in his 80s, he fell down the stairs, and he broke his legs. He busted up his knees, and he was in bad shape. Couldn't walk or anything. So I told my wife, I said, I'm sorry to tell you this, but he's probably not going to get over that, and it's unfortunate. We all know, we hear elderly people, grandma, grandpa, they fall down, they break a hip. It's hard when you're older. It's hard to recover from these things, It's not a character flaw. It's just the way that we are, And I got to tell you, he recovered from that. He was using a walker. He was using crutches. He was using a cane, and he ditched the cane. Well, thanks, Mike. I'm telling these stories because I think they're important. I'm not trying to, I'm not, I'm saying pointing fingers at people, but thank you. And he recovered from that. Betty, how you doing? Fist bump to you. Hey, Betty, I showed your photos on the last late night that I did down at the place there where I usually stream from. Nice to have you with us. Betty's the one who made those masks that I showed you guys, and using Prism Live Stream and Prism Live Studio. This is Betty right here. And I want to tell you something, Betty. This photo right here, okay, this photo caused an update to the Prism Live Studio software. Let me tell you why. because with Prism, you know, you can resize things, and there's a resize button down the corner. And when I press the resize button, it's supposed to move the picture to the extent of the screen. But for some reason, your pictures would blow up to their full height and be way off, you know, outside the parameters of the screen. So I sent those pictures to the developers, and they had an update. Now it works. So you're even more famous than you know. Sorry, look at my lips here. It got dry. I use my lip balm, you guys know, but oh, I hate that. So anyway, I just want to finish the story. You know, Uncle Chang, he recovered from that. And then he had a couple of setbacks. He went to the hospital. It was difficult. So, yes, thank you. He had a couple of setbacks. The last 3 years were tough. He turned 90, and things started getting tough. Some of his relatives from China came to visit, and it was good they came to visit and stuff. But I saw him at Chinese New Year a couple of weeks ago, and he was laying, you know, in bed. They have a live-in healthcare worker from Indonesia, and she was caring for Uncle, and he was he's laying in a hospital bed, and he was breathing with a nebulizer and alternating the nebulizer and the O2, the oxygen tube, right? And he's basically been in a vegetative state where he would stare, you know, and you would walk into his field of vision, and you know, he wouldn't acknowledge you, right? But, you know, for some reason, this uncle has always taken a fancy to me. He's just been very, you know, accepting of me coming into the family. He's always been so nice. He would always come over to me and, hey, how you doing? You having a good time? You need anything? You know, when I was at any of the family gatherings and stuff, he always took a few extra minutes to say hi to me and stuff. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to bite my lip. But I saw him about 3 weeks ago, and he was laying in bed. And I saw where he was staring, and I kind of put my face, you know what I'm talking about, in his field of vision, right? And all of a sudden, I saw his eyes focus. Hey, Matthew, fist bump. I saw his eyes focus on me, and he smiled, and he tried to say my name. He hasn't done that. He hadn't done that in months. And so the last time I saw him, he was a little more cognizant, and right away his eyes lit up, and he actually said my name. He could say it, but this time he couldn't say it, but he mumbled 2 syllables, and I knew that he was saying my name. So Uncle Chang, we'll see you in the new world. Let's take a quick break. I need a break after that.
Hi everybody. You're watching Late Night with MJ Klein on Taiwan Live TV.
Yes, and as if that were not enough.
Hi, this is David Osaka, live from Greenland, and you're watching Taiwan Live TV with MJ Klein.
I have great friends. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at late night at taiwanlive.tv. You want to send me anything, hey, if you guys want to make a bumper, and especially put your logo in it, like Ken did. Ken sent me a bumper. I said, no, man, you got to put your logo in it. So be sure and follow Ken Rudd's Coffee Break. And, of course, everybody knows David Osaka, the greatest live streamer in the world. But if you want to reach me, go to late night at taiwanlive.tv. Now, I got to check. This says to send a postcard, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I think I'm having trouble with that PDF file that's supposed to be there. I got to check, and I've been negligent. I have been neglecting my websites because I have been so busy with other stuff. So, anyway, So I just want to tell that story. And the history of Taiwan is just so amazing because we have military villages here. And back when I first moved to Taiwan, I lived in an area called Taoyuan, right on the border of a city called Bada and Dashi. And Dashi has a lot of history. They got a beautiful old street there in Dashi, but I lived on the north side, right next to Bada. And there's a whole section of it's technically illegal construction. See, when the nationalists came here, now this is another regime. They did a lot of bad things, and you can read about it. And there was even recently on February 28th, the 228 or the 228 incident. I would like for everyone listening to the broadcast to just go to Wikipedia and look up the 228 incident and see what happened. Just read this for yourself. But what happened was the Generalissimo, as they used to call him, set loose the nationalist soldiers on Taiwan, and he didn't have enough money to pay them. So he paid them a reduced salary, and he told them to glean the rest of their salary from the land, which meant the citizens. Now remember, Taiwan at that time had been owned by Japan, and Japan had implemented a communication system, a railway system, an economic system, and like an agriculture system. It was light years ahead. Japan was and still is the most highly developed nation in Asia. Okay, it's the United States of Asia, but it's a lot more free. We'll get into that. But you see what I'm saying? And so when the nationalists, there's many stories, like when the nationalists came here, George Kerr writes in Formosa Betrayed how the nationalists kept looking at this thing where, you know, steel doors would open and people would go inside and the doors would shut. And then a few minutes later it opened and it would be gone. And they thought it was magic. It was an elevator. They never saw one before. And then there was one case where a car pulled up and about 30 people jumped on the running boards and the fenders and the roof and flattened the tires and crushed the suspension. They'd never seen a car before. They didn't know anything about it or what it could hold. And so Formosan citizens were used to a highly developed communication system and railway system, and that allowed them to kind of stay ahead a lot of times of the nationalists that were basically looting and pillaging. But I mean, you know, you turn a bunch of soldiers loose and they got guns, and they said, well, you know, we're not getting paid, so they would just kick doors in, and sometimes they would even take over properties. But what eventually happened was they didn't own any land. So, thank you. No, my knowledge is not stunning. I just read a lot, but thanks, Mike. Thank you. They built little shacks and little shanties, you know, and as time went on, see, the whole thing was, and you can still see this in some villages, it's been preserved now, because now it's a historical thing, but for some time, many tried to erase, you know, the past. This is what happens sometimes. People are ashamed maybe of the past. Like, there are certain regimes that did things that were so bad, right? And you want to eradicate it. But on the other hand, you realize, oh, no, wait a minute, maybe we should save some of this so we like don't do it again, kind of thing, you know. And so some places in Taiwan have these murals, and it says, you know, we're going to take back the mainland. Well, that's what the nationalist regime here wanted to do. They lost the war, you know, the Civil War, the communists, and they wanted to take back the mainland. And the problem is the military they had in Taiwan was too small for the mainland, but it was way too big, you know, for Taiwan. So, and the governors came here. There's a governor called Chen Yi, and he was so bad he was eventually executed. A lot of foreign aid from countries came in, it went in one end of the warehouse and went out the other end and was sold immediately, you know, for bootlegging and stuff. It was terrible. You got to read this book, Formosa Betrayed. It's incredible. The nationalists would claim, oh, we did 500 tons of sugar this year, you know, so we're making leaps and bounds. But then you'd find out that, you know, the Japanese did, you know, 2,500 tons of sugar. Just that they were very inept at what they did, and they basically just robbed and pillaged Taiwan. And Taiwan is a geologist's dream, especially the East Coast. It's very geologically active, you know, and there are rock shops all over the East Coast. You get an incredible array of gemstones, and including gold, and there's a copper mine up near Taipei and stuff. And there's a lot of resources here to pillage, and that's what they did. But they would like find a little corner and just build a shanty, and then add to it, and then they would get, like, one day, so I bought some bricks. So they just brick stuff up, and like, oh, I bought some sheet metal and put some sheet metal on it. And so all over Taiwan were these little military villages, and I've been in some of these, and some people actually have sort of unofficially, like, owned these places. Like, you might buy a house, and there might be something attached to it that was built illegally, you know, 60, 70 years ago, and then, you know, the authorities kind of turn a blind eye. They just treat it as like a shack, but then they rent it, and they can make a little money. And I've seen some of those places. They're like, I can't even stand up in them. They're like, you know, the corridors this wide and stuff. It's pretty interesting. But when I was living in Bada and Dashi, I was taking a bus one time to see my friend, and I was coming from what used to be called Taoyuan City, from the main train station. I was going down Jaisao Road, like about maybe, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 kilometers. And they had like taken a wrecking ball to one whole side of the street for like 5 straight kilometers. It was a pile of bricks and rubble. All those military places were just razed to the ground. It's amazing. I haven't been back. I don't know what they built there, but they probably have built, like, you know, all new high rises and things for, you know, for people. But I was astonished at wow. I was astonished at what at the level, you know, of destruction that they implemented to get rid of those. And right here in this neighborhood, if you go up towards the military base, actually, which is kind of ironic, in that area up there are some of those little shanty places. And believe it or not, there's a small brothel down the road. It's even listed on Google Maps as a hostel. Not hostile, but a hostel, you know. And I personally myself have been, you know, on that road at night and seen a woman dressed in, you know, hot pants and boots, standing in the doorway, literally with a red light behind her, illuminating and, you know, making a silhouette. Myrna, how are you? Fist bump to you. Myrna, how's things? Guys have finally warmed up in Texas. I hear you're having a heat wave, and things have come back to life. Thank you. Nice to see you too. Yeah, of course, you know, our Ken Run is in Texas, and so is Uncle Bud. We don't see Uncle Bud too often. He's kind of busy, but yeah, finally getting better. Yeah, I read that Gritty lost access to the grid. I'm sure you got stories about that, huh? Take care, Matthew. Fist bump. Oh, yeah, that sounds fantastic. Oh, I would love to see that. Matthew, give me a couple, get some pictures for the late night group, okay? Please, get some pictures. I got to tell you, I don't understand the U.S., you know, like, I know AT&T and all that, you know. When I grew up, there was the phone company. And I've been away from the States for a long time, right? And I recently, because I've got a TV box like everybody else, and I can watch channels all around the world. I recently have started watching some U.S. TV just to see what a couple of shows, and I mean, my jaw drops. It's all about, right? See, you remember, every other commercial is about insurance of some kind. Pay for only what you need. Configure, insurance your way. All this stuff, right? And the second one is medicine. There's always some kind of new medicine. They got diseases I never heard of. You got a broken gonculator or whatever. So like, yeah. So you need gonculator cures. Like, what's going on? And I can't help but notice how deregulated everything is. Now I know people said, okay, and here's what happened. Especially like with this cellular system, and to this day, cell phone is kind of an American thing because around the world, other people call them mobile phones, but it was a cellular system, and the first one was Cellular One, and that's why it's called that. And then they broke it up, remember? And they kept saying, oh, competition will be good. So instead of having one super, high-priced monopoly, they decided that they would split everything up in the private sector, and then they could compete. So instead of having one, super high-priced system, then they've got like 10 super high-priced systems because nobody changed their prices. It doesn't matter. They're working together. Duh, why don't you know this? But I got to tell you, my bill worked, and the prices were low. Exactly. The competition didn't help because they worked together. Sprint calls MCI, hey, are you lowering your prices? No, are you? Heck no. Okay, good. Call us when you got a price increase so we know. We're going to jack it up too. Thanks, bye. I mean, this is what happens. And if you don't, it's naive not to realize this. Anyway, so, yeah. But in the meantime, they'll let companies like Facebook and Google, I think, is probably the biggest conglomerate. Not conglomerate, monopoly is the word I'm looking for. Come on. If anything needed to be broken up, it would be Google, but they're not going to do that. So I don't get what's going on there. I just know that if I had to go back to the States to live, I would have a headache all the time, just trying to keep this stuff straight. And it's not because I'm old. No. Nope. I take enough cognitive-based supplements. There's nothing wrong with my thinking process, so. Yep. I got to tell you, Mike, I've never seen Game of Thrones or any of that stuff. I don't know what any of that stuff is, right? And I guess, I suppose I could find it if I wanted to, but I was watching Sci-Fi Channel, and I like 50s movies. I like some horror movies. You got to be careful because sometimes horror movies can be really demonic and stuff. But I like some, I like science fiction and monster movies, and I like stuff like that. And I was looking at a couple of the channels, and the ads were just. And another thing, you may not have noticed this because you know how it is like the frog, in the pot. I've been away for a long time, so when I come back, I can see instantly every single ad is about humor. There's always some humorous thing going on that has nothing to do with the ad, because that's the only way people can remember what you're talking about. So, yep. The TV, internet, cell phone bill comes in. Yep. Exactly. Yep. So you know what I would do if I ever had to move back to the States after they took the handcuffs off of me, because it's the only way I'm going back to live. I would just bring my box with me, my TV box. And my sister, her son works for, I think it's AT&T, they're still around. And I would just get, like a SIM card from him, and I would just do everything that way. And I have a mobile phone system. It's a voice over IP system, and not mobile. It's an internet phone system that I maintain from the United States, for our business. So I got phone numbers there. Which brings me to my next topic. Spam calls. There is this guy. In particular, for me, now people who know me, you know that I am a spiritual person, and now it's not crazy. It's not crazy at all. And if you own a tablet or something, or like a Surface Pro, you can use Wi-Fi and stuff. But no, it's not. And my friend Renee, you guys heard me talk about Renee. Renee's never appeared on a live stream because he doesn't want to be on camera, but he lives in my neighborhood. He's from Switzerland. He doesn't have a mobile phone either. Anyway, what I was going to say is I have a lot of respect, for the scriptures and for truth, and I hate these lying preachers. These preachers that come on and they tell you lies because they want your money. Boy, that burns me up, and I love to get those people on the phone and ask them, what their scriptural authority is, because I know my Bible, okay, and I know it pretty well. And if they start quoting scriptures and stuff to me, I can pretty much splash them. And so I keep getting this call. It's the same guy. And every week, of course, I get a call at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. my time. I don't answer because it doesn't ring because that's my off time. But I get up and I call him back. And he's like, it's all about your prosperity angel has a message for you. You guys heard this guy? Have you heard this guy? This guy's heinous. I would like to take this guy down. Okay, it's the same thing around the world. Fortune tellers, they have them here. In astrology, it's all about appealing to in generalizations to people. Here's the thing. If you have a talent for it, it's easy to suck people in. If you say things like, you're the kind of person that appreciates when people are honest with you. Okay, well that's everybody, okay? And then you narrow it down. But you also the kind of person that can tell when somebody's lying. No. But that appeals to you. People say, yeah, because they want to be that person. And that's what they do. They hone in on it finally. And all they've done is talk in generalizations, but you think they're talking to you because they have generalized things down. And, and recently you had difficulty with your work, with your employment. Okay, that's what? I just narrowed it down to what, about 140 million people in the United States alone? Okay. And you've got a neighbor that's been bothering you. And so immediately in your mind you think, oh yeah, he bothered me about how I put the trash cans over there. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's what these people are doing. Right. Now, I'm listening to this message because, it's a robot call. And he says, you had trouble at the beginning of 2021. And, hey, Frank, how you doing? Frank is an old friend of mine from Lynn, Mass, from way back. Frank, how you doing? I'm going to give you a fist bump. Good to see you. Yeah, well, I'm usually on Sunday night my time. And I'm telling stories. Actually, I'm telling about there's this guy that keeps bothering me with these robot phone calls. He's one of those prophetic preachers, and he's looking for money. And I'm telling people about this because they need to know. But he's targeting people because, you know, Betty, you said everyone, right? He says, you know, it's in 2021, you've already had trouble. Well, yeah, there's a worldwide pandemic, so that kind of applies to everybody. And so these people, you know, they prey on individuals like you and me. So you just have to be smart enough to not know this. And this guy's been calling me, and it's a robot call, and I think I'm up to maybe 7 phone numbers by now that I have had to block. And so these people are making money, and what he's doing is he's asking for money in order to get this prophetic message. See, and that's the hook. Remember, the truth is free. Okay, the Bible is free. You can just go look it up yourself. When they want money, that's when you got to be careful. And so this guy has some prophetic message, and it's terrible. So. Creatures, oh yes, I understand, yes, for sure. So it's been a real eye-opener for me because I haven't watched U.S. TV in 15 or 16 years anyway. I went back to the United States, as you guys know, you guys who follow me for a long time. In 2018, I went back to the States for 4 days. I went to the Sears Institute for Anti-Aging, and I spent 4 days there in America. And at the hotel, I mean, I didn't even turn on the TV. Didn't do anything. And so I haven't really seen any TV. And so I usually watch movies, and I just decided to try to watch a couple of TV shows from the States. And I was really shocked about the insurance ads, and they're all humor based. You know, at the end they always do something dumb, and so you laugh, and then you try to remember. You know, it's just so you can remember the ad. You might remember what they're saying, and then it's about all kinds of medicine, and I never saw that before. When I lived in the States, it wasn't quite like that. So anyway, Frank, how things in let me see, in Lynn? So it must be like yeah, it's like noon there, back in eastern Massachusetts. So yeah, that was you saw my daughter Phoenix, and she's 8 years old, and you know me for a long time. Who would have thunk it? But here I am, and yep. Yeah, I was able to successfully, reverse several aspects of the aging process, and, skin's okay, yeah, not bad, but more importantly, mostly 3 areas: men's health, like with testosterone and those kinds, hormonal things like for building muscle, losing weight. The cognitive part of it, because I take 29 supplements a day, and a lot of it has to do with brain function, so cognitive ability and memory and things like that. And so I've got a really, really good memory, and that's and then the third thing is I forgot. Thanks, Mike. No, I'm just kidding. The third thing is something that I didn't realize. Matthew, I thought you were going to go to the museum. The third thing, right, is something I didn't realize, and it's something that I should talk about, because I went to the funeral today, and they're all Buddhists, and so what they do is they do vegetarian type food. I want to talk about that in a second. Passion Puppy, I think I know you. How you doing? Oh, Bella, yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we're very good, thank you. Yes, and Bella is in the medical profession. You're, of course, a frontline worker. So, Bella, I hope everything's okay with you. I know right now New York is still, kind of a mess. But no, I appreciate you stopping and saying Passion Puppy. Wow. Yeah, because I'm used to the other name that you use when you visit us on Periscope. Thanks for dropping in. People on Instagram in particular, they'll post a vegan or vegetarian photo, right? They always have hashtags like healthy, vegan, healthy, and all this stuff. But let me tell you something. Vegans and vegetarians have homocysteine problems bad. They have cardiac inflammation because there unfortunately are certain compounds that the human body needs that can only be derived from animal sources. And if you have 100%, of course, vegetarians are a little different. They sometimes allow fish, and egg, and dairy products. But vegans are strictly non-animal material at all. And yeah, for most of the compounds necessary, they're like, for example, with flaxseed, there may be a vegan alternative. But I'll tell you right now, homocysteine is bad, and Dr. Sears tested for that, and I'm a meat eater, and I had high homocysteine, higher than normal, not like dangerous. But it causes cardiac inflammation, and inflammation is the cause of cancer. We know that now. Cancer is caused by inflammation. That's why hyperbaric oxygen treatment is very effective. Duh. It seems simple now. 20 years ago, people were struggling for that. Now, that being said, homocysteine can be controlled, but you need B6, you need B12, you need TMG, and you need folic acid. So, this isn't, Mike, this isn't so fantastic, but thank you, fist bump to you. I'm not a doctor, but I spent a lot of time in the company of doctors, and, so I recommend that you go check out Dr. Sears, because he's really cutting edge and light years ahead of his time. And if you think I look young for my age, which I don't think I really do. I mean, I think I look younger than 65, but I don't look like I'm 40. But you look at Dr. Sears, man, and I mean his hair color came back, so. Oh, I see. Yep. Vitamin D, absolutely. Yes, D3. Yes. Okay, good, Betty. Excellent, excellent. No, that's okay, Matthew, and I understand that. What I'm saying is you have to be willing to supplement. And I recommend that, your doctor is going to ask you why, but get a test. Why? Because I want to know. That's the answer. But get your homocysteine levels checked. Because cardiac inflammation is not good. And it's completely avoidable, but yeah. It's funny because some people have a problem with red meat and other people don't. Like we know Dr. Jordan Peterson is the first person that comes to mind, that he had some kind of allergy problems, and the only thing that he could eat was meat. So, well, fish and pork, okay, well, there's nothing wrong with that. And one of my favorite things that we have here in Taiwan, we have the Japanese style, they call it Qingyu. It's or you say kao Qingyu. It's a grilled mackerel, and you guys know what I'm talking about, where they split the mackerel and they put it on the grill, and it's just, oh, and it's so cheap here. It's like $3, $2.50, a nice side of grilled mackerel, man. And we have white pepper and salt mixed together, pepper salt, and you sprinkle it on there, and you put a little lemon, which actually in English we would call lime, but they call it lemon here, and it's fantastic. So, all right. Now, I'm debating about something. Look at my monitors. Looking over here. I'm wondering if I should show you something I've been working on. Because we're simulcasting, obviously, to Periscope. Although Periscope may have it may have cut off when I lost the internet. Yes, that's true. Excuse me. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Bella, you know your stuff better than me, because you're a pro. I just know what I paid for. I paid Dr. Sears about $3,000 US for these Star Trek level tests. What they did was, and the printout they gave me was incredible. They laid me down on this flatbed scanner, man, and the thing went across me like a fax machine, you know. And I mean, I know the bone density between my left hand and my right hand. I know the density of every bone in my body. It's pretty amazing. But I wanted to the Q&A start. Well, it can start right now. Okay, go ahead. But what I was going to do was, I told you that I was kind of depressed, and I was working on this song. I'm kind of thinking if I press A, then that will be, the console automation is already on. Okay. Follow me just for a second. I'll show you my back for a second. Here you go. I made a couple changes. Okay. This is what I've been working on. A little different so far, huh? There's some dropouts in the audio because of the internet. Alright, so that's what I've been working on. I just spilled it. That's probably going to get me a copyright strike, but I don't care. Yeah, I have a Dante audio network that's audio over IP between the digital console and the DAW, and I'm running the internet in the background, all of the other stuff. So my family heritage, well, of course, you know, my mia familia, gosh, I have so many languages running around my head. Okay, my family name, thank you. Oh, yes. Well, that's true, yes. And I love Boston, too. Yeah, you know, and that's the other thing, too, is that we have to be bold. We can't be afraid. We also have to be careful about inviting ridicule, so I don't actually reveal exactly what my beliefs are, or what some might call a denomination because of that. But yes, Earl the Pearl from CT, Connecticut. Fist bump to you. Hi. Yeah, I know you love Boston, Mike. Okay, so we'll go back here. My family heritage. Okay. Of course, my surname is Klein. That's German. From what I understand, my father told me, and I don't remember if it was his father, my grandfather, or his grandfather, but the family name used to be Klein Meyer. That would be M-E-Y-E-R after that. That means maker, which would be small maker, somebody like a watchmaker or something like that. And so, yes, but the other side, my mother is a Lunderman, and her mother is O'Brien, and they came over from Ireland. But on the other hand, and I don't really understand this because I never had here's the funny thing. I have zero interest in my own family history. But if you talk about your family history, I'm like, I love hearing about other people's family history, and I don't give, you know, a second thought to my own family history. It's just weird. But so both sides of my family like to drink. Somebody asked me, so what's it like being Irish and German? Well, I want to take over the world, but I have some whiskey to finish first. That's kind of it. But the thing with the O'Brien side of the family was my mother was raised on a farm in Ogdensburg, New York State, right, which is right in the St. Lawrence River. And I'll tell you this real quick because I don't want to bore you guys. In the early 90s, I went back to there with my mother, and I saw the farm where she grew up, and I saw the barn, man. It's all rough hewn. The rafters are all made out of spruce. They didn't even peel the bark. It was really quite remarkable as a dairy farm. They didn't own the land. They just rented it. And for fun, my mother's father raised racehorses for sulky racing. Her brother, my Uncle Kenneth, who's now passed away, was this big barrel-chested Irish guy, and he used to train the trotting horses on the sulky, right? This big old fat Irish guy, you know, he's 250 pounds or whatever. And so when they put a skinny little jockey on the sulkies, they're out of there, right? So that was actually good training. I remember seeing them train when I was about 5 or 6. And so one thing that my grandfather, my mother's father, this horseman, one of the things that he was very well known for, so thank you, Myrna. He wanted to train the horses year round, but of course, you know, upper New York State on the St. Lawrence River, that's like, you know, that's right across the river from Ottawa. Okay, talk about long winters. He actually developed with a local blacksmith a horseshoe with cleats on the bottom for ice racing. The ice horseshoe was invented by my grandfather. Of course, it's not credited to him, but everybody in upper New York State knows this. It's kind of like common knowledge. But you won't find that on Wikipedia. And so he used to do ice harness racing. They would put actual like sled runners, as they take the wheels off the sulky, put sled runners on it and put these cleated horseshoes on it. They had races on the St. Lawrence River. And I wish, well, they have to be 100 years old now, but I wish I had seen that. That would have really been something. And so, because they're so close to Canada, my mother tells me that we have French Canadian relatives too, although I never have met any of them. And I used to have a big fan base up in Montreal. I've been up there a couple times in the 90s. It was nice. It was cool. Trips up there in Montreal, I absolutely loved it. But I never met anybody up there that I was related to. But I wouldn't mind it. Wouldn't mind being related because I'd like to go there and hang out. At one time, I was thinking about maybe relocating to Montreal, but it was a little bit. The time wasn't right. So, and eventually came to Asia. That's where the future is, I think, at least for me. So, but don't get me started about my mother, because I just told you the story about my wife's uncle, who I think was a great man and who raised his family and put, his 3 sons through university. They're all PhDs. And my mother is the most self-centered, narcissistic, immoral person, and she's still alive at 93. Wow. That is cool. That's some history. See, I find it amazing that you know that, because I don't know anything. I met my uncle, Uncle Kenneth, the big uncle. He was a merchant marine, and my father had an elder brother who I never met because he was in California and we never went there. That kind of stuff. So, but all the men in my family lived pretty long. My dad died at 88 because he didn't take care of himself. He was a diabetic, and he died of diabetic dementia. You know, it's really bad. The doctors told him when he was in his late 50s, you got to do something about it, and he didn't. So, oh, I see. Yeah, okay. Well, you know, interesting because you know my surname Klein, right, is well known as a Jewish surname, and many people ask me if I'm Jewish. In fact, sometimes I get the secret handshake. It's funny. I meet somebody and oh, I remember I met a guy named Wolf who was he was a guitar tech, and I introduced myself, and he said, "Oh, Jew boy," and I said, "Actually, I'm not. Sorry, I was actually apologizing." It's kind of funny, but yeah, a lot of internet hours. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. So, well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. You know, you're too kind, and please don't put me on a high pedestal, okay? Because let me tell you, it's everybody falls, and it's a long fall. Okay, so just keep me down here. Don't have to worry about falling. So I haven't. That's interesting because, oh, is it? You know, I didn't even realize that. Weil. Okay, cool. So, yeah. Well, they tell me, now I don't know, but they tell me that Klein in Buffalo, that I'm basically related to everybody named Klein, and most of the Kleins are in politics or business or something. And I know my grandfather my dad told me this. He said that they went through the Great Depression, but they didn't know it was a depression because my grandfather always had money. Because he owned this place called Klein's Five and Dime. He owned a store. And so, you know, the store provided for the family and, you know, saw them through the Great Depression. So, hey, you know, that was cool. I thought that was pretty interesting. So, I didn't have anything to get me through the several recessions that I was in the United States until I moved to Asia. And once I moved to Asia, I was astonished to learn that there were several recessions in the United States that I had managed to miss. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't there to support you, but I'm actually glad I missed them. Oh yeah, I understand. Well, it's I have mixed feelings about that, you know, because I still have relatives in New York State that I haven't met too, and I know they exist. I just right now it would be ridiculous to try to go back, but my first wife's stepfather had a book about this thick, and he traced his family history back to the 15th century. It was amazing. And he didn't. I mean, this was before civilians were on the internet. I mean, this is in the 80s. He had this book, so I can't imagine what he could do now. I think it's too easy now in some respects, but. That DNA test, you know, my sisters have always wondered if my little brother was the milkman's kid or not. So maybe we should chip in and find out. Yeah, well, you know, I got to tell you, you know, Bella, I guess I'm pretty typical, you know. Just what can I say? The only thing I would say about me that might be remarkable is my singing voice, and as a medical professional, you might appreciate this. Every doctor that worked with me on my recovery from my ruptured L5S1 disc in the 90s told me, especially my ortho guy, that I had the hardest connective tissue of any human being that they've ever studied. And there have been some cases where things have happened, like stuff like blew up around me, and pieces of things like hit me and didn't penetrate my body that they figured should have. So it's pretty interesting. I remember one time I was in Thailand, and I was driving down the road on a motorcycle at about 100 kilometers an hour, and up ahead of me I saw a Thai guy slowing down. He was on the outside lane, and I was where I was, and I started slowing down, and all of a sudden he jammed on brakes, and I hit him like about 45 or 50. And so when I hit him, I was upright, and I slammed down, and I landed directly on my shoulder on the pavement, and I didn't feel it. It didn't hurt me at all. I got up, and it was amazing. So my favorite memory, you're asking me what's my favorite memory ever? Oh, goodness. Man, I don't know. I mean, I got a lot of really amazing memories. I've been, really fortunate, and but it depends what your perspective is, So, touch of Indian. Do you mean Native American Indian or East Indian? Because you just reminded me. My father said that. Say my child's birth, yes. Except I wasn't in the room because it was a C-section. But yeah. Actually, you know what? Yeah. My dad told me this, Okay, that's cool. Do you know what tribe? You happen to know what tribe? My dad says that his mother claimed, totally, not verifiable, but she claimed that she was part Blackfoot. And my dad said he thought it was horse feathers, but who knows? Rob, you made a very, very interesting point earlier about that DNA test. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do that. Be interesting to see if I did have some of that. Because, let me tell you something right now. If you have a certain level, Native American DNA, that qualifies you for a portfolio. Casino owner, right? Yeah. I can imagine. So you did it, right, Rob? You did it. You found it. Okay. So I would, if you don't mind typing it, I would like for you to tell us, and, we're going to wait, but I'd like for you to tell us some of the aspects that you found so fascinating. I would love to hear about that. I think it's pretty interesting. Famous memory. When I was a kid, times of learning. Well, I will tell you one story that let's see if I can. Yeah, how do I? I can't. There you go. Let me tell you one story that I when I was 8 years old, my dad went away for a while to the Honeywell school, which I now know it was a trial separation from my parents. Really? I see. Wow. You're part sub-Saharan African. Wow. Do you mean like Algerian or Egyptian? Wow. This is really cool. All right, look, in the comments, can you guys type like, the website that you would go to like get this kit? Just I mean, because we're talking about this, and regardless of what I want to do, I would like to burn that in this 2% Western Chinese. They can, I mean, 2%. That's like, what is it like? I mean, they can actually like break it down to that. Wow. Or Congo. Oh. Angola or Congo. Oh, wow. That's really interesting. This, Rob, at the risk of being politically incorrect, is why I hate the term African American for black people who live in America. Because not everybody that's from Africa is black. If you've ever been to South Africa, there's a lot of people who look like me there, And so if somebody who was Caucasian from South Africa moved to the United States, became an American citizen, and said, they were African American, that wouldn't fly. So, and 9% unknown. Unknown? Unknown. Oh, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. 0.9. Sorry. 0.9. Yeah. But you know what? It's like I tell my daughter, the outside doesn't matter. It's the inside. It's the person you become. And you know what? We all go back to the same origin. So there you go. Wow. Okay. So I understand. So so if you send for the kit and you swab your nose, it might not be right. Yeah, I understand. I just don't know of any place in Taiwan that, they probably do, that would have that service, but I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Wow. This is an interesting discussion. This is what I like about doing this kind of show. I have no idea where we're going to end up at the end of the night, and it reminds me of back in the old days when I had my talk show, except my talk show was very limited, in scope, but within that there was a wide range, but this is like totally open. I'm going back and forth between my cinnamon rum and water, trying to stay hydrated. Oh, okay, spit into a tube and send it back. Okay, that's pretty cool. You just reminded me of something. In Taiwan, they used to have what the foreigners would call the poop test, where you would, when you want to get your green card, okay, and live here, right? You have to have a medical test, and they look at you. You take off your shirt, and they look at your skin for lesions and stuff, and then they do a tuberculosis test and a chest X-ray and stuff, and then you've got to poop, and they give you a little vial with a spoon on the end, and you scoop the poop and you stick it in there and lock it in, right? So, excellent. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, I would love to see that. And yeah, that's in your area. Oh, I'd love that. Matthew, thank you. Fist pump. Get me some shots of that. I would love that. Accuracy for entertainment purposes. Oh boy, Dayton. Yeah, I have been to Dayton. I've been to the Dayton Ham Bench, and I think I've been there 3 times. That's a cool town. So they have the poop test, right? And talk about an undignified thing. Now let me tell you a couple stories about that. I'll tell you about my story with that too, with the poop test. But my friend, who shall remain unnamed, but it's a gentleman who's been in Taiwan for a long time, and he's columnist now for the Taipei Times. He went to take his poop test, and he went to the men's room, and I'm going to use the proper term, defecated in the commode, but he didn't flush it. So it's just sitting there, and he took the spoon and went, okay, and dug a piece of it up, put it into the cup, and closed it. Well, it turns out that some foreign worker had previously defecated into the commode and left a very invasive parasite in the commode, which was picked up in my friend's poop test. And when they tested it, they said, no, you don't qualify, you have this, disease, and you have to, and all this stuff. And so he just said, well, I'll just take the poop test again. And they realized what happened. So, knowing this, and knowing me as you do, I didn't want to do the same thing, because he told me this story, right? So I came prepared with a newspaper. And I went to the handicap stall because it was extra large. And I did what a dog does. Yep. On the newspaper. And I took the little spoon. My stamina, what do you mean? And I took the little spoon and scraped it and put it in the thing. Gave it to him. And so I'm sitting there waiting for my test. And the lady comes over and she shows me this. She said, Bukola. Nila Bukola. She said, it wasn't enough poop. The sample wasn't big enough. So I told her, well, I don't have to go anymore. I mean, you got to work with what you got. And she said the universalism they say in Chinese, "没办法," which means can't be solved. So I went back to the restroom. And I went back to the trash can where I had rolled up that piece of newspaper, and I unrolled it. And I got a chunk so big that it overflowed the container, and I washed the container off the outside. And I gave it back to her, and I said, "Go, go," which means, is it enough now? The things we have to go through, the humiliation that we're subject to. So, what is my definition of great music, art? Gosh. Mike, you ask me these profound questions as if I am an oracle or something. I mean, you like what you like. Yeah, I hear you, Rob. But that's not the worst of it, because I read, there's an expat, a famous expat, who was writing about how he did not like the fact that they give you this poop test. They're just checking for parasites. They're checking for parasites that haven't existed in the United States for 50 years. And what he did was he took a candy bar and he broke the candy bar off and put it into the thing and locked it and gave it to him, and they never said anything. So, yeah, that's true. Well, Bella, my mother had 5 children before me, and they all died. And the ones just before me had that. What's that? That condition where the mother's antibodies attack the child because the child's blood type is different. Yeah, well, I had the same thing. And my mother said she had the lines going up her legs. I guess they call that blood poisoning or something. And my mother expected that I wouldn't make it, but I did, and here I am. So there you go. So if you've got to take the poop test, just go get you like a Butterfinger, just break it off. Kit Kat, so yeah, okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, thank you. That's what it is. And my mother told me that story, and I'm like, wow, okay, well, there you go. So, what's that song that Phil Collins did, Against All Odds? Mike, it's like whatever makes you happy. I mean, I recognize that some people like, Um, I am not. I am not. I'm very limited. Some people, like real simple stuff. I mean, I'm not into beats. I'm not into doing beats. I'm not into that kind of stuff. Although I do like dance music as a genre, and I did, in my opinion, many people think that I did the first dance, rock dance tune that was ever done with "Gotta Keep Dancing," but that's terrible. No wonder my mom went kind of nuts, turned into a drug addict, and I mean, it does a number on me. I can't imagine what would happen to me if I lost my Phoenix. I would, wouldn't be any more live streaming for me. But I've always liked, I make no bones about what I do. My songs, I don't try to change the world. I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to give people what they want to hear, and that's what I try to do. And I just try to not suck. I try to maintain at least some level of professionalism. But I hear a lot of stuff that passes, for music and for hits, and it's kind of disappointing sometimes. Having been blacklisted by the music industry in the 90s for being an independent artist, and guess what? I'm old, but I'm back. Anyway, I'm about to release some new stuff. I've been talking about this for a long time. I've been working on these things, right? But I've been growing several tunes up. I got about 7 tunes that are roughly 70% done, so that when I finish one, then I can finish the others and release them pretty rapidly. So that's my plan. What time is it? Oh my goodness, it's not that late, but it's 20 minutes until 1 a.m. local time. Yeah. So there you go. But these days, my daughter gives me a great deal of pleasure. And I'm going to tell you something. Well, thanks, Mike. You're too kind, and please be careful about lavishing too much praise on me. I'm just a normal person. I have no intention of going off the deep end and doing something stupid to make you guys ashamed of me. But these things happen, right? You have to be careful about attaching yourself to stars and influencers and things, because sometimes they do things that are bad, really bad. I mean, I'm not going to name any names, but we all know people that have done that. And so I'm going to try my best not to do that. And I can take criticism, and if you guys see me going off in the wrong direction, you want to tell me that, I would appreciate that. That would be good. I'll try not to do anything that it's got, like you're going to wake up some morning and see something on Twitter and go, "Oh my God, I got to unfollow MJ." So I don't want that to happen. So that's what I'm trying to do. So, but I'm blessed with in my opinion, a very close core of followers, and I'd rather have you guys than 1.5 million superficial followers, you know what I'm saying? But here's the cool thing. I'm going to meet Todd Rundgren a couple days from now, so it's great. I get to tell him about some of the stuff that I've always been wanting to talk to him about. It's kind of a matter of I haven't met him yet, it's almost a technicality. But he produced an album for some friends of mine years ago. And the truth is, I know more about Todd Rundgren from people that he's worked with that I know than I did ever from his music. So it's going to be interesting to talk to him and see what he says about it. So, yeah, thank you very much. Oh man, you know what? I'm more than lucky. I'm absolutely blessed. This was the picture that we let me see. Oh, I don't actually have that. Oh, you know what? I thought I had a picture of her and I together, but this is her right there from the from the train station, right? So So she's really, really quite unique. It's funny because, she's. I like to speak. I will. Thanks. He's really so. He's just as real as you and I. The guy's incredible. I like to speak frankly, and I don't, have any hang-ups. But she's a mixed kid. You know what I mean? But she looks very Asian. And so sometimes she'll be with her mother. And people, because I'm walking behind. And if I walk behind, then people don't know that we're together. So Mommy and Phoenix are walking ahead. I'm walking behind. And you see people looking at them and not paying attention. And then I might walk up close and say something, and people realize, oh, that's the husband, the father, and then they start, and then they look, and then they're looking at the daughter, and they realize, oh. So one time, now here's the thing, I gotta see, do I have something with her? Hold on, give me a second. Okay, this picture of her, this is the picture that I had of her the other day. Okay, now, one of the things that in Asia people like to point out is the bridge of a person's nose. Because typically, Westerners have a higher bridge of the nose than Easterners. And so, Phoenix's nose, in my opinion, and I have a lot of experience with these things, it's hard to tell from this picture because it's so far away, is Asian looking. The bridge of her nose is not that high. But I remember one time I was, and let me just do this, see if you can see what I mean. Do you see like her glasses, and you see how there's a space between the nose piece and the bridge of her nose? Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, and look at her eyes. I mean, she looks she looks Eurasian, but she definitely does not look like a completely Western person, if you will allow me to say that. I know it's not politically correct, but I don't care about that. I just care about talking like a normal person. This is my daughter. And so I remember I was someplace where a woman at a restaurant was looking at her and looking at me, and she kept saying in Chinese about Phoenix. In Chinese, she said, oh, 她的鼻子很高. She said her nose is so high. She kept talking about the bridge of her nose. It's so high. No, it's not. It's just that this woman saw that my daughter is part, me, DNA, and she was just trying to emphasize the foreigner aspect of it. It was just so weird how that happened. And I don't know why people do that. Of course, I got a high bridge. The bridge of my nose is so high that if I close my eyes, I can see it, right? But that's just how it is, so. Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. You got to get out more, though. Hey, Jim, how you doing? Okay, here you go. We're going to pick this comment right here. This is the comment of the night. For those of you who don't know, what Jim just said, 外国人, Y means outside. 外国, guo or 国家 means country. So 外国 means like a foreign, right? That's outside country. 人 is the word for people. So in Chinese they'll say 外国人, and that means a foreigner. So what he's saying is, when his daughter is with his wife in Taiwan and there's no, 外国人 around, everyone assumes she's a Taiwanese kid. But when he is with her in Taiwan, suddenly she's a foreigner. Yes, exactly. I have experienced that so many times, you know. And the truth is, the range here in Taiwan is so wide. We have people of Polynesian background. Because remember, Taiwanese DNA is Australia, what do they call it? Australasian. Anyway, it's Polynesian, Australian, Oceanic, everything is all mixed up. And you've got, you know, big fat Polynesian looking guy. They look like the king of Bali walking down the street here. You got other guys that are very, very Han Chinese looking, and they're different. But it's all in the range, you know. And so, actually, many people in Taiwan also fit into the range of what might be considered Thai. When my wife and we visit Thailand, everybody assumes she's Thai. She fits in that range. And even my Thai attorney said that. I asked him, I said, do you think you know, the local people can tell she's not Thai? He said no, because she fits into the range of what we would consider to be Thai. I said, okay. And I knew what he meant, and it wasn't, you know, derogatory. It was just normal, right? And so, yeah, that's the thing right there. So I'll walk up behind, and all of a sudden, and then she started with the, you know, oh, the pizza hangao and all this stuff, and it's just ridiculous. So sometimes, and I don't know why this is, sometimes people will go out of the way to point out differences. I prefer to point out similarities. I prefer to point out things we have in common. You know, I like commonalities more than differences. Differences are interesting, but differences can be divisive, and people can sometimes make them divisive. And so I prefer to look for things that are, you know, in common, so we have more things to agree on and get along with, rather than to, you know, find divisive. So that's my point. So, anyway, how are things in Ethiopia? Pretty interesting situation, pretty interesting place to be. Really? You mean is it brown and not black? See, Phoenix's hair is a very, very dark brown, but it's still not black. Yeah. Well, you know, I met John, right, in person, and John's a very handsome man. So, yeah, I never met his wife, but yes. And that's Chinese and Thai, which isn't such a dramatic mix, but I know what you mean, yes. Dark brown, yeah, there you go. Nobody asked this. 25 times? Mike, your followers are going to hate you. No. Don't ever share more than 3 times, because we don't want to make people mad, but thank you. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Yeah, Jim, I know what you mean, because my Phoenix's hair color is and I know what you mean. That beautiful, it's an absolutely beautiful color. And it's a shimmering color, you know. And here's the funny thing, and Jim's going to laugh when he hears me say this. Taiwanese women spend a great deal of money on dyeing their hair like that color, or even more dramatic, because this is kind of a, what's the word for it? It's, gosh, I forget the name. There's a technical name for it. I don't want to insult anybody. It's where people generally look the same. See, the problem in Taiwan is you go to the police station and you go, okay, my wife's missing, all right? What's her name? Okay, well, what does she look like? Well, she's about 5'6", and she's about, 90 pounds. I'm using imperial measurements for our U.S. viewers, and she's got brown eyes and black hair. Okay. Any identifying marks? Because you just, that's 15 million people right there. And so, like, people in my neighborhood come up to me sometimes, and they call me by name. Hi. And they go, oh, you don't remember me? Well, not really. I met you 15 years ago. Well, there's only one of me. I'm pretty easy to remember, so. And what did they say? I would like to see, I would like to know. I would like to know. But because of that, homogeneous, that's the word. They look homogeneous. That's the word I was going to say. Because they look homogeneous, right? They're forced to look for differences that we don't see. And sometimes, now you've seen this too, Jim, where there'll be Taiwanese TV shows where a foreigner come on, and the Taiwanese will go, you look like Robert De Niro. No, you look like Ben Stiller, And I watch these shows with my wife, and I go, that guy doesn't look like Robert De Niro. And then I'll go, no, but wait a minute. He just did that thing with his hand. Yeah, I guess his hand looks like Robert De Niro, and yeah, I guess his ears look like Ben Stiller. So they're forced to kind of see things, Homogenization. Okay, thank you. Bella, I appreciate you kind of, straightening me out on these things. Thank you. Coco, how are you? Coco, we miss you. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to see you. I'm your favorite storyteller. Wow. Well, you got low expectations, but I appreciate it. Thank you. We've been talking about some crazy stuff, and I'm so glad you came in, but you missed a lot earlier because we're talking about DNA and family history and things, It turns out Rob has had a DNA test, and so was Betty, and they were sharing the results. It's pretty amazing. So my favorite family heritage memory, I really don't have a family heritage memory, but I was starting to tell you, and I got sidetracked, which I don't mind. I get a lot of questions. When I was 8 years old, my dad was coming back from a, okay, oh, you were here. Okay, thank you. You were lurking. I appreciate it. Thanks. So I was my dad was coming back from the airport, right? And from a trip, and on the way there, it's about an hour away. My mom was singing. My mom was a singer. We all loved Coco, of course. My mom was a singer, professional singer, right? And she was singing in the car with the kids, and that's when I first cognitively, I remember figuring out harmonies. And my mom was singing, and I started singing harmonies. And she's like, "What are you doing?" I go, "Well, I'm just singing harmonies." She says, "Well, how do you know this?" "Oh, I don't know. I just hear this." And then I recognized, of course, after that I had this ear for that. And so we picked up my dad, and we're driving up to the airport, and my mom was like, "Oh, talking to my dad, Jim, we want to show you something. We're going to sing with the kids." And so I was doing harmony, and I was 8 years old. And so now Phoenix is 8. It's the same age as me. She's taking piano lessons, and she has now the same. I started piano at 8, and I took 2 years of it. But now she is 8. She's already had 2 years. She started when she was 6. So her ear training is very, very good. Hey, Colby, fist bump to you too. And Coco, I owe you a fist bump too. Sorry. Thanks, man. Yeah, I've been taking care. I put a little wax in my hair. So I was like checking out, Ken Rod's look, man, and I was like, man, I was combing it down the front. I was looking like Russell Crowe, in a Gladiator. I said, no, man, I put some wax in my hair, So I got like the Ken Rod look, and I think it's a good look. So I'm gonna keep it like this for a while. So, really, okay. So Rob just posted his Gmail for you guys. That's really cool. If you want to compare DNA results, that's really, really interesting. I would like that. Sub-Saharan African. Wow. We are all mixed, which really just makes me so angry when I see these super nationalist people talk about like the Aryan race or whatever it is. No. You know what it is? You know what we are, baby? We're a cocktail, all of us. So, really. So, okay, at the end of the day, what exactly are you, if you don't mind? I mean, I've heard you speak on Periscope. I've never seen what you look like, but I mean, what are you? I think it's amazing, and what I like is, I got to tell you this. There are YouTube videos out there, and I love this. And if you're like me, if you're a person like me that has no hang-ups, no preferences, no nothing like that, when you see some of these racist people that get a DNA test back and they got some stuff in them that they're prejudiced against, yeah. I love that, man. That's so funny. Of course, musicians don't care, so funny. That's funny. My stamina. Mike, what do you mean? You act like I'm I got barbells in my hands, I'm pumping, Wait, that's so funny though. Got one on John. That is hilarious, saying you can't talk down money to a giant. Betty, did he say that? Did he say that on a live stream? That's hilarious. I'm like their deadliest enemy, in Chinese. If I can negotiate, because I remember years ago I was in Canada, I was in Montreal, and I wanted to buy something, and the lady, saw me coming, and I switched to Chinese, and so we were. Thanks, Rob. Fist bump to you. Thank you so much. We were negotiating in Chinese. That makes a big difference. The last time I was in Hong Kong, I went to buy a bag, and they started out at 400 Hong Kong dollars, and I killed the price. We say in Chinese, sajiao, and killed it down to 100. So I got it for 25%. And at the end of it, that's funny. It just goes to show you. They said, so we're just going to speak Chinese. And I said, well, where do you think? This conversation is happening in Chinese. So, where do you think? And they said, oh, in China. I said, no. And they went around. They said, okay, where was it in Hong Kong? No. And they went all around. They said, well, was it Singapore? No. Well, was it Malaysia? Where? So was it? And I said, in Taiwan. They went, oh, they didn't even think of Taiwan. It's really, really funny. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Oh, I see. Wow. Really? Okay. Yeah, the GMRS. Yeah, the Baofeng. Yeah, that's actually not a bad radio, and I've been hearing some good things about that. Really? Oh, wait a minute. No, there's. The ham license doesn't have a fee. You usually have to take, as I recall, because I used to give those tests. You might be talking about the family radio service, Frank. But yeah, the thing is the actual ham license is free. I think it costs something for the materials to take the test, but it's well worth it to get it. Oh, it will. Okay, well, that's interesting. See, Colby's a ham too. Okay. Wow. Well, it's a good thing that I renewed my license. I renewed my license 2 years ago, so I got like another 8 to go. They made a new change. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Well, thanks, Mike. I don't know how much the world needs me, but hey, what can I say? This is fun. Is anybody viewing on Periscope? I think Periscope is still running, right? Because I had a little internet hiccup at the beginning. Once every 10 years, okay. Really? The tribe of Levi. Wow. Hey, Casey, how you doing? Thanks. All right, thanks. I appreciate that. Wow. You're a Levite. That is like, that's the coolest thing that I've heard. I mean, seriously. Tribe of Levi. A special possession. Wow, amazing. Yeah. The Levites, they were in charge of the tabernacle. Casey, I quit broadcasting to Twitch, it wasn't getting me anywhere, and Haps is a train wreck. I know a lot of Periscopers, they're kind of freaked out, when Twitter announced that they're going to shut down, and they didn't know where to go. And since the beginning of mobile phone live streaming, I have been exploring, other platforms, and so I've been working with YouTube for several years, so. Yeah, I know a little bit about it, yes. Yep. Can't know too much, I say. I wasn't really getting any traction on Twitch, and I would get like a lot of spam from people like, hey, want to be famous and that kind of stuff, and we can sell you 1,000 followers. Yeah, okay. Well, I'd rather spend the money on a cup of coffee, because having 1,000 followers doesn't do anything for me. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. In the next couple of months, I'm going to be releasing my first new record since 1997, and I'm more interested to see how that goes than buying 1,000 followers. But I got to tell you, this is funny. I released one of my old tunes on I had it remastered in '97, and thanks, Mike, and you were a big part of it, and I appreciate it. You've got to go. Fist bump to you. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you next time. And I'm glad you're able to make it, this time, because I know a lot of times you miss it and you send me messages later, but I appreciate it. Yeah, well, that makes sense. Yes, yes, that's cool. But I re-released. I had done a remastering in 1997 of probably my most well-known song that you never heard of, and I released it with a new record company distribution system. And I didn't really care about making any money. I just wanted to see where it went around the world. And in Asia, we use a system called KK Box. It has a lot of Korean, and Asian, like all like Wubai and Mayday and all the the big stars in Asia and stuff. And I searched for myself on KK Box, and it's there. I was like, wow. So okay, I'm going to continue to release that stuff, and it takes about, believe it or not, it takes about 2 months. When you release a song, it takes about 2 months for it to propagate through Google and through Spotify, through Deezer and YouTube and everything else in the world. It takes a long time. So it's not like, unless you've got a runaway monster hit, it's not like you're going to make a tremendous amount of money. But I don't care about money anyway. I just care about having fun and doing some good music. So I'm doing some stuff that's kind of like, well, It's very, very old school. This has been a pleasure. We've been on for 1 hour and 51 minutes, and I don't want to go on too long because people sometimes will look at the length of a stream and go, I'm not even gonna look at that because it's just it's too difficult. But I want to thank everybody for joining. Oh, that's cool. Tell you what you can do right here. This is my email for the show, late night at taiwanlive.tv. Frank, I think that's really cool, man. I had the place that I used to be on Hamilton Ave. Before I put the big beam on the roof, I put a wire antenna in the attic, and it's amazing what you can pick up if you balance the antenna correctly. So, but anyway, Frank, I got your email, you got mine, so we can correspond that way. And I'd like to hear more about what you're doing with radio. That'd be cool. The thing about CB though is that the old CB is 11 meters, which of course is an HF. It's near 10 meters. But the new CB is VHF, and that's where you want to be. It's for local transmission. And the thing I like about ham stuff is that there are repeaters that you can use to extend your range. And anyway, but I'm not able to broadcast here from Taiwan because I'm not a citizen. The ham radio scene is changing here almost by the week. It may be that I can get a reciprocal license pretty soon because I have the top class. I have the GROL, which is the top class commercial license, and I have the amateur extra, which is the top class ham license, amateur license. And so I may be able to get that converted. A couple years ago, I did go to a ham radio club down in Taiwan, and actually, hang on, is it right here? Hold on, I'm just going to see if it's right here. Hold on. Look at this. This is, this is funny. Colby, if you're still here, sorry about that. This is the, look at this, guys. This is the Taiwan Amateur Radio Club. Yeah, in Taiwan. TARC, Taiwan Amateur Radio Club. They made me an honorary member because I went down there. I don't like ball caps. I don't wear ball caps because I like bush hats. But there it is. This is my Taiwan Amateur Radio cap. And I went to one of their meetings, and it turns out that even if I get a reciprocal license, I can't get a station license because you have to be a Taiwan citizen. And so I am seriously considering renouncing my U.S. citizenship and getting Taiwanese citizenship because that's what I want to do. So I'm thinking about it. I'm weighing the cost and considering it. But many of the people that I know and associate with have done that. And there are considerable, let's just say there are considerable tax advantages to that too. So Bella, go ahead and send me a picture of the late night at taiwanlive.tv. Yes, it is. Because so many people are doing it. They're trying to stop it. People are leaving. They're bailing out the United States right and left. And why wouldn't you? It's crazy. But yeah, it's up to $2,500 US. But I would bring them a bag of pennies and make them count it. There's a guy that I know in Bangkok that likes to do that. He gets a fine from the police for something, and he 1,000 baht or something. He'll bring a bag of 1 baht, and he'll have 999 in the bag. And they'll count it 3 or 4 times and say, no, there's only 999. He goes, oh yeah, there's one here I forgot in my pocket. And he throws them on the table. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, and you know what? I went to a couple of those hambentions with the swap meets with Fred. It was cool. And Fred knows a lot about that stuff, so that's cool. You've done a few renunciations over the years, so that's cool. So what what citizenship? What's your primary citizenship that you have now? Hey, it's Taiwan Sean. Fist bump to you. Thank you, sir. Nice to see you too. Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Wow, a lot of dual citizenship going on. Thanks, Sean. I'm going to take care of myself. How are you doing? How's your family? We're talking about you today, actually, my wife and I. We're just wondering how you guys were doing. How's your lovely wife and your son? That's cool. Wow, this is great. Everybody's coming out of the woodwork. I wanted to sign off. We've been on for 1 hour and 57 minutes, which is actually a little bit long for me usually. I usually like to keep my shows like around about an hour, so they're not too difficult to follow, but yeah. Sean, you know the Bootsy barbecue sauce, right? I got a shipment coming in, a big shipment. I'm taking it up to Peter's restaurant, the Longhorn, and we're going to do some development up there, so that's cool. I just want to let you know about that. So yeah, excellent. Yeah, see, Sean knows. Sean, you've had Bootsy, right? And so yeah. And so has Coco and Dave and Osaka and a few others. So yeah, yeah, I'm going to work with their chefs up there, and I'm going to work with Peter. You know Peter, and from the Daishibu, and because he's got a new steakhouse up there. Yeah. Recommend my tenant. Yeah, that's great. And so, yeah, I'm going to work with him on some different recipes. And the goal is we're going to try to make it here in Taiwan. That's what we're going to do. So I had a big investment in that. Big investment. Like 6 figures big. And we're going to do that here in Taiwan and produce that sauce. And so, yeah, you'll be hearing about it soon. So I'm going to leave you with my, got to flip this on right. I don't wear ball caps. This is my Taichung amateur radio. So, Rachel and he are not together anymore. He was living in Hualien, but he's moved back to Taipei. And I'll tell you what, Sean, I contact you online all the time. I'll send you a Google Maps to his restaurant. Not too often. I don't really have like a reason to go to Taichung, but if I do, I'll get down there. So we need to. Yeah. Okay, Sean. I will. I'll do that. Thanks. I'll send you that in. If you get a chance to get up there, it's in the very top of Taiwan. It's way up there in super north, northwest Taiwan, right in the tip. But he's got a restaurant called the Longhorn, and it's a steakhouse. And you remember the quality of the place that he had before, so yeah. But no, we do need to make Bootsy into, what do you call it, a dynasty, empire? Yeah, that's what we need. So thanks, man. I appreciate you. You too. Nice talking with you too. Thanks, Sean. Take care, man. Been taking my supplements, man. 29 supplements a day. Makes a difference. All right, you guys take care. We're going to run. It's been a long time. It's been a great time, though, but I appreciate it so much. I got some work to do. Believe it or not, I have some mixing to do tonight. I got to finish something up. And, yeah, I'm having a lot of fun doing this, and it has been fun. Thank you so much. I have like a second career. You guys know I was a recording engineer and producer in Boston for many years, and since I built this studio, word's getting out. I'm getting jobs. People are sending me songs they want me to mix and things and master. So I was like, wow, this is cool. So I got another career going. It's been fun. Thank you so much for joining. You guys take care, and we'll see you next time. I'll leave you with this. This should be the thumbnail for Periscope. What do you say? Okay, gotta use my right hand, press the end button. Take care. Bye-bye. I'm going to say it's IJN1 on, and have a good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you guys are in the world. Thank you so much for joining. I love all of you. Take care. Bye-bye. That was great. Yeah! Thank you so much.